Before him, my life was measured in scars. Each one told a story of survival, etched into my skin like a map of my pain. The jagged line above my right eye was a rock thrown by a laughing boy's hand. The permanent, deep ache in my back leg was the memory of a heavy boot in the dark. I learned that hands were not for comfort. They were instruments of a casual cruelty I couldn't comprehend. My world was an alley paved in cold concrete, a sliver of gray between two leaning brick walls. Hunger was a constant hollow companion, and fear was the air I breathed. But the deepest wound wasn't one you could see. It was a phantom memory, a hazy, broken fragment of a soft touch behind my ears, a kind word, followed by the deafening slam of a car door, and the world speeding away into a blur. That memory was the cruelest of all, because it taught me the ultimate lesson. Even gentle hands betray. So I learned to see all hands as weapons, all soft voices as lures into a trap. I was a ghost made of bone and matted fur, a shadow that flinched from every sudden sound, convinced I was born to be utterly and completely alone. If this story is touching your heart, comment below where you're watching from and what time it is there. My days were a rhythm of hiding and scavenging, of making myself invisible. I watched the world from beneath parked cars, seeing luckier dogs on leashes, their tails wagging, their steps confident. They belonged. They were walking toward doorways that glowed with a warm yellow light, leaving me behind in the coming chill of the night. I didn't know their world, and I never expected to. Mine was the world of the forgotten, the unwanted, a life of waiting for the next blow, the next cold rain, the next wave of hunger. I had forgotten what hope felt like. I wasn't sure I had ever known. Then, one gray afternoon, a new sound cut through the alley's harsh symphony. It wasn't a shout or a slammed door. It was the slow, measured tread of someone with no destination. Scuff, pause. Scuff, pause. My body locked into a statue of terror, and I watched from the shadows as a man entered my world. He was tall, but his shoulders were slumped as if carrying an invisible weight. He didn't look for me. He simply found an overturned crate, brushed it off, and sat down. He just sat, bringing with him a silence that was heavier and deeper than the alley's usual emptiness. My past screamed at me to run, but my fear was slowly being replaced by a profound confusion. He reached into his pocket and I braced for the stone, the blow. But his hand emerged slowly, holding a small paper-wrapped package. The scent that drifted from it was a miracle. Roasted meat and bread. It was the smell of the warm, yellow-lit world. He tore off a piece, leaned forward without looking at me, and gently placed it on a clean patch of concrete. It wasn't thrown. It was an offering. He then stood, turned, and walked away with that same slow, weary pace. He didn't look back. For long minutes I remained frozen, caught between the instinct to flee and the agonizing pull of hunger. But it was more than the food. It was the memory of his stillness, the quiet sadness in his scent, the incredible gentleness of a hand that asked for nothing. Trembling, I crept forward. That single piece of food wasn't just sustenance, it was the first word in a language I was slowly beginning to understand. It wasn't a trap, it was an invitation. The ritual became the one solid thing in my shifting world. Every day, his quiet arrival, the offering of food, his peaceful departure. He was slowly, patiently, earning my trust. Then, one evening, as a sharp wind that promised a brutal night whipped through the alley, the ritual changed. After placing the food, he didn't leave. He took a few steps back and waited, his silhouette framed against the dying light of the street. He made a soft sound, not a word, just a gentle invitation. He gestured with his head toward an old, dark car parked nearby. My body went rigid. My past screamed at me. Cars are traps. Doors are endings. The memory of being left behind, of the world speeding away, was a physical pain. I backed away, a low growl of pure terror vibrating in my chest. He saw it and he understood. He didn't push. He simply opened the car door and stood by it, waiting. I was caught between two impossible choices: the familiar, freezing misery of the alley, or the terrifying unknown of that metal box. But as the wind cut through my thin fur, a desperate thought took hold. The terror of the unknown was finally less than the certainty of the known. Shaking, I took a leap, not of faith, but of exhaustion, and scrambled onto the car's floor, curling into the tightest ball possible. The door closed with a soft click, not a slam. The world outside became a blur. When we stopped, he opened another door, this one leading into a building. The air that drifted out was a revelation. It was warm. I hesitated, frozen by the threshold, until I took one final, desperate step inside, and I felt it. A steady, miraculous warmth seeping up from the floor, traveling into my cold, aching bones. The door clicked shut behind me. That sound, once the soundtrack to my abandonment, was now the sound of safety. It was the sound of home. In the quiet safety of his house, my physical wounds began to fade into memory. I was no longer a ghost hiding in the shadows, but a quiet presence at his feet. As the sharp edges of my own pain dulled, I started to truly see his. I saw it in the deep, hollow quiet of the house, in the way he would sit for hours, staring at a photograph on the mantelpiece of a woman with a bright, beautiful smile. His sadness was a scent in the air, a color in the silence, a loneliness so profound that a part of me recognized it as a kindred spirit to my own. We were two different kinds of stray, living in two different kinds of solitude under the same roof. Everything changed the night of the storm. Thunder ripped the sky apart, and each crack was a physical blow that threw me back into the terror of the alley. I was lost in a blind panic, trembling uncontrollably in the middle of the room. He was there in an instant, kneeling on the floor. He didn't reach for me. He simply offered me his presence, his calmness, a small island in my storm of fear. Then, slowly, he extended his hand and laid it on the floor between us, palm up, an offering. My past screamed at me, the memory of every hand that had ever hurt me. But this hand was different. It asked for nothing. It promised no harm. In that moment, my desperate need for comfort finally became greater than my fear of pain. I took a trembling step and nudged his fingers with my nose. They were warm, and when he finally, gently, stroked the fur behind my ears, I understood. He was teaching me that a hand could heal, and as he comforted me, I saw the deep ache in his own eyes soften. We weren't just a man and his dog. We were two souls learning that the safest place in any storm is next to someone who understands what it's like to be afraid. His breathing is the only tide in the quiet ocean of this room. He whispers something in his sleep, a soft, mumbled word, a word I know better than my own heartbeat. Shadow. That's the name he gave me. I used to think he chose it because I followed him everywhere, a silent echo of his own lonely steps, clinging to his presence like a second skin. But watching him now, in the stillness of our shared life, I finally understand the truth. He gave me a name because the name of the one he loved, the woman in the photograph with the beautiful smile, had become too heavy to carry on his tongue. It was a name full of a past he couldn't revisit, and a future he had lost. Naming me was not about defining me, it was about healing him. It was a quiet confession that a new love could be planted in the scarred soil of an old one. It was the first word of a new chapter he never thought he would get to write. So the question was never, who rescued who? That's too simple a math for the arithmetic of the heart. He reached into the darkness to pull me out, but in doing so, he had to let a little light back into his own. He taught me what my name sounded like, and in the simple daily act of calling me to his side, he was really just calling himself back home. There are anonymous angels all around us. Who is the angel you're grateful for? Share their story in the comments below, and let's fill this space with gratitude.